Hello guys, my name is Shartak Shah and you are watching GCSED CodeChef Campus Chapter. Today, I will teach you a very simple yet elegant coding style on a simple thing that you learned in your engineering classes. The simple thing is nothing but functions. You might be thinking, but I know functions, right? What's the use of this class? Yes, you're right, you know functions, but you don't know how to use in a good way. The good way means in a way that is readable, debuggable, and reduces your cognitive load while coding. So if you didn't understand any of it, it's all right. You will understand all of it by the end of the session. So what is a function? Function is nothing but a block of code that you defeat often in the main code, and you want to write it in a separate block so that you can call it. So let's address what's the main enemy here, the global variables, the global array and the ARR 500. You have seen it plenty of times in the code in the CodeChef or Codeforces. Suppose we are writing a function named access here, which does nothing but changes the ith index to 0. Its job is to access the global variables, so it's doing the right job. Now let's consider a function int sqr which takes an input int x. What does it do? What do you think it do? It does nothing but just squares the value and returns it. As you can see, the return type is int and the type of input is just a single int variable. Okay, but have you seen the lines here? The global array dot clear error 0 equals to 410, all the mischief we are doing. Are we supposed to do that? No, we are not supposed to do that. Or we aren't supposed to do what we're doing on line number 343. We aren't. But at this moment you're thinking, no, I will not do such thing, right? It's pure mischief. And why will if I do that? You may think that, but in large enough code base or writing any code base about 300 to 200 lines, you will often do such silly mistakes. Are there any ways to avoid this type of silly mistakes? So the compiler or the IDE won't allow you to do such a silly mistakes. This mainly happens due to usage of global variables. And in object-oriented principles, we already avoid it by creating something called class. But creating classes with private and public functions and other helper methods is cumbersome during competitive programming. It's cumbersome as in the sense we have to write long syntaxes to make classes available. So if you don't want to use classes but also want to maintain a good coding style, I would recommend you to stick to the end, because we are going to discuss a type of functions that will make your job a lot easier. So all the problem stems here from the global variable, right? So what if we can make nested functions? Nested functions means a function inside a function, like nested loop, nested if, nested switch, for example. Okay. So if we make a nested function with its own scope variables and scope functions, then the job will be easier. Okay, you are right. So how about we try to do so? Okay, let me get the editor. Void f parent, which is the parent function, and let's take an integer input that we have to suppose take input here, and we will make a function, a nested function. Let's input named, and we will just see in the value of input here. See, we are declaring a scope variable input here, and we're declaring the scope function let's input. So just let's call let's input, and I hope it will work. But can you see that it's not working? The IDE is giving an error here. Can you see that? It's red line. Let's see the error. Function definition is not allowed here. By default, you cannot make nested function in C or C++ programming languages. In JavaScript and Python it's allowed, but in C and C++ is unfortunately not allowed. only variables inside the nested scope is allowed. So how about we convert functions into variables, right? How would you do that, you ask? Yes, C++ standard allows us with a thing called nested function. See, the type, the ingrid is a variable of type function. It's a variable, right? Because a variable has a name and a type. Ingrid has both a name and a type called function. So what type of variable is it, you ask? It's called lambda functions. So let's see the usage of lambda functions here. The type of ingrid is a function, but since it's a complex class, for example, int of array, it's an array of integer we are taking here. See, or an array of pointers we are taking here. Okay, for example, like that, function is also a complex class. Here it means a function which returns a boolean output and takes two input of type integers, and which name is ingrid. So we have just declared here in line 360, and we are assigning in line 361. We can also do it together like any other variable. So ingrid is equals to, what's this mysterious thing, you ask? This thing is nothing but captured list. Okay, so we are mentioning the return type here, boolean, but we also can avoid that. The compiler by default will guess the assumption of return type from the return statement. Okay, so in this you can see int x and int y is the parameter of the functions, and we are supplying the global variables dx, n and m. And as you see, we remove dx from the captured list and it's turned red. That means no more global variable dx is available in the scope. It reduces your cognitive load and it will help you avoid doing the mischief we told you earlier. So this is called captured list, as we said. So yes, capture clause, sorry, my bad. Just technical terms, you can learn it. Okay. So here n and m we have declared earlier, and we are supplying n and m in the capture clause. And n and m is used inside the function. It's just like in the capture clause, if we mention any name of the variable, it is captured by default by value. Like pass by value, it's captured by pass by value, and it's used in the function. So if we mention dx here, but see, still we have an error. What does that error mean? As I said, by default, lambda captures pass by value, and in pass by value method, all captured variables are immutable, means they are constant. You cannot change them or cannot change any of its nested atomic features. So how can we modify that if we want, you ask? So can you remember how we swapped two numbers earlier? We send them by their address or we send them by the reference. So in this case also, we will do the same thing. We are just adding the reference operator in front of dx, n and m. We can add individually also, and voila, we can now change dx of 0 is equals to 0. That means we are passing by reference as an alias. We can do multiple things like that. But you may also ask, you may pass one infinite number of variables. What to do in that case? You want to pass all of the variables. In that case, you just write the ampersand or the address operator here, and all the outer scope variables will be captured by pass by reference. Or you can write equals to here, and all the variables will be captured by pass by value. And as you can see, as it is pass by value, it is immutable. So see, the ID gave an error flag, but as soon as I turn into ampersand, it's again gone. As you can see, there is no place of mischief, as I told you. And you may think this is writing cumbersome, but see the magic of auto keyword here. Auto deduces the type of a variable for you. By in case of function, it checks the return statement or the explicitly mentioned by arrow return statement, and it deduces the type of function for you. It's same function bool int comma int, but it deduced the type for you. As you can see, bool, int, comma, int. It's same, but the compiler did the task, the heavy loading for you. It's amazing, right? So it's still the same auto ing is equals to that and that. Okay. So by now I think you have pretty good idea how to write lambda functions. Okay. So let's now go to a special type of lambda function, recursive lambda functions. You may not write too much of recursive lambda functions, but recursive lambda functions in C++ is a special case. Let's write our simple trivial recursive function of Fibonacci and show you what I mean by this. So Fibonacci of n is equals to Fibonacci of n minus 1 plus Fibonacci of n minus 2 with the base case of if n is less than is equals to 0, return return 0. Suppose this is a recursive function. As you can see, variable fib to reduce type auto cannot appear in its own initializer. Lesson learned that you cannot use auto if you are writing a lambda function. I know it sucks, right? But it's a trade-off you use for clean code. But let's change the auto to a particular type, a function of it returns integer. So integer, it takes a parameter of integer. So integer here inside the parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis we mention the parameters. Okay? And template close. But still you can see fib cannot be implicitly captured in lambda with no capture default specified. Let me tell you what is happening here. As you have seen, lambda by default doesn't capture any outer scope or global variables. We have to pass it to the capture clause to mention which variables to capture by it. And as you know, lambda function is itself a variable, so it's itself not captured in its inner scope. So how do you think we'll resolve that? Any guess? Take a guess. Let's take a guess. Yes, if you have mentioned it right, you will just mention it in the capture clause. Should you mention it by reference or value? I think it by reference it will be better. Because otherwise we will, if we do it by value, in each iteration, in each call, it will be copied by value, which is not efficient. Okay, so we are sending an alias or reference. So there you go. You now have the ability to write recursive lambda function. I think this is the most ugly version of lambda function that you can write, and I hope it will be fixed in later versions of C++. Okay, now a special case of lambda function, a special trick which can make your code even more concise and easy to read. It will act just like as if we're fitting pipes into one another. It's structured in such a way. It's called IFI, and I have used it in here. Right here, 376. We are inputting a maze, and suppose we want to find the starting point of the maze. The starting point or the SRC of x, y coordinate is marked by where the maze has an alphabet A. We are capturing the coordinates of in x and y, and we are returning it. Okay. We are returning x and y. But you may ask, we are declaring a function here, declaring a lambda here, and we are getting ints. SRC-X and SRC-Y is nothing but ints. Let me show you. SRC-X. Yeah, see, it's int. SRC-Y is also int. So how it's happening? See, the fun thing is here, it's called an IFI. It's a lambda function that is immediately invoked. Means you call the lambda function in the very place it's declared. IFI. Let's see the full form. Of course, it's originated in JavaScript. So let's see. IFI. Immediately invoked function expression, as I said. So see, this part from this part from here, which of course its return type is H. Just to mention, it returns a pair which gets destructured. This whole part from this bracket to this bracket is a lambda declaration, and you see it's the lambda invocation. We are invoking the same place in the declaration, and since it takes no parameter here, we are also invoking with no parameter. Suppose it took a parameter dd, then we have to give, see, it turned red. We have to give also a parameter which is type of int. See, we gave a type of int in the invocation and it turned green. It's working perfectly, and it's returning a pair of x and y which is getting destructured here, and we are getting ints. So there we go. Here we have lambda functions. I think by now you know and mean all types of lambda functions, including recursive one, and in the iffy ones, try to use them in your code base. Try to avoid global variables as much as possible to reduce your cognitive load, to help you revise the codes, and etc. And as you see, the x and y in the inner scope is not accessible to any outside scope. So like class, it also uses the concept of encapsulation to make your code more elegant and beautiful. Thank you for watching. If you have any doubts, let me know.